The content on this channel has been created for adults. If you're not at least 13 years of age or older, then please do not watch this content. Sorry, dude. Come back when you're 13.
Yeah, baby girl. You know what I want to do. Come on. Yeah, baby girl.
Clean hands. I just washed my hands. Alright, welcome back to another video. Guys, I have an idea that I'm going to try. Let me know in the comments if you enjoy or not. But here's the thing. I've had a few people say, hey, we miss your mukbangs. We miss those. If you guys look at some of my previous videos on this channel, in particular my Faith Chase channel, I think as well, I've done quite a few mukbangs. I love food and I love mukbangs. And I was looking at my channels now that I've got tons of reactions happening everywhere, and I was like, yeah, where do I put a mukbang now? Because I don't know, because I'm doing Queen here, doing other stuff on my other channels. Like, I don't even know, don't really have like a mukbang channel per se. Not technically that this is supposed to be only a one type of channel. Originally I had the idea of doing a bunch of different things on it, but it's become the Queen channel at the moment. So I had this idea. What if I actually have a mukbang while checking out the freaking Queen documentary? And that would be kind of like the best of both worlds. You know, we get the Queen, we get the documentary, and I thought I'd try it out. I thought it could be an interesting concept, little mukbang, Queen mukbang. So yeah, we're gonna try it out. Now, the other cool thing is I've realized it's just with the time zones and the time things, you know, like I told everyone to watch out for next video. I was gonna make an announcement. So it appears that we actually have a lot more people outside of the States as fans than I initially thought, or actually it has changed because I checked the analytics, and it so happens that before we used to 61% of our fan base for the channel was watching videos. The videos are being watched from the States. Now we've had a huge increase of people from the UK, over in Europe and things like that watching, and now outside of the States it's increased to about 30-something%, and which is huge. So we have a huge kind of, you know, we're global now, long story short. We're global fans everywhere. That is freaking awesome. I love it. I appreciate all you guys. Thank you for the support. That is super cool. Queen Army worldwide, let's get it. So what I thought anyways is maybe I will start you know, from time to time, just making sure that I do have some premieres that premiere at this time frame, so that you guys get to enjoy live chat with me and stuff like that, and do the premiere as well, and kind of make it so that, you know, that I just basically, I think the channel basically would pretty much become kind of like a 24-hour channel. I think that's kind of where we're headed, yeah. So that means there could be a video in someone else's morning and someone else's night, and then flip around, and someone else's night would be morning and the morning night. So long story short, there could be some type of, this could be like, yeah, 24 kind of hour channel where there's releases happening when you go to sleep. You might watch a video before you go to sleep. When you wake up in the morning, there might be a video waiting for you. So double your pleasure, I guess. So yeah, I'm gonna try that out, see how I go with it. Now, I don't know how frequently the other time slot will be. I don't know how it will all work out, but I just know that I want to show all Queen fans everywhere, you know, the equal amount of love, you know. So I want everyone to get a little, you know, the funness, you know. So make it fair. So anyways, let's get into this. My food's getting cold, and we're doing the story of Queen, Mercury Rising full documentary. I know nothing about this, so it's going to be exciting. And yeah, let's see how we go with this. Let me get my food out.
I was driving in Vermont, and they played We Will Rock You.
Buddy, you're a young man, hard man, shouting in the street. You're gonna take on the world someday. You got
Just quickly, I want to point out what I'm eating. So before I get this going, large fries, staple food from Mickey D's. By the way, I'm eating Mickey D's. I don't know if I mentioned that. Because Mickey D's has a new grass-fed beef burger patty. So I thought I would try that out. It's actually just dropped. It's brand new over here in Australia. You know, maybe in other countries and back home in the States, maybe everyone has already had this and it's like that's old news. But in Australia, for all the Australia fans, I'm gonna let you know if it's any good. And if you're somewhere else in the world and you haven't had this, I'm still gonna let you know if it's any good and whether it's worth taking a trip here to try it, I don't know. But usually over time they roll out everything. And just in case, you can't go wrong, you also gotta have the cheeseburger, just a basic cheeseburger. So I've got basically 2 different burgers and the fries. And to wash it all down, I could have got a soft drink, but no, we've got H2O. That's what I drink. I love water. I'm a water person. I love it. So we're gonna get into this mukbang. Let's continue this happening. And don't mind me, I'll try not to freaking be too rude with how I'm eating, but it's supposed to be a mukbang and it's a reaction video together. Wow. It's like peanut butter and jelly. All right, let's get to it.
It was like the entire meaning of life summed up in 5 minutes. I mean, all of the elements of successful rock were there. Brian gave his bit, Freddie gave his bit.
Freddie Mercury is regarded as one of the greatest singers and songwriters of the 20th century.
True.
His talent, ambition, and charisma propelled his band Queen to superstardom, making them one of the most popular bands on the planet. 20 years after Freddie's death, Queen remain immensely popular. Their album sales have topped 300 million worldwide, and their musical stage show has been seen in nearly 20 cities across the globe. This is the story of how 4 talented musicians broke all the rules and pushed musical boundaries to the limit. From the early days of sweaty student gigs to the heady years of huge stadiums, we chart the meteoric rise of a band that was derided by critics but adored by fans. In the 70s, 3 academics and a flamboyant art student took on the music industry and redefined popular rock forever. Spurred on by their forthright frontman Freddie, Queen's single-mindedness and constant reinvention paid off, and they created some of the most memorable songs of all time. By the late 80s, Queen were on top of the world and Freddie was king. But then, after a truly show-stopping performance at Live Aid, came tragedy. Freddie's untimely death from AIDS robbed Queen of their beloved friend and their lead singer.
That's really, wow, they just came straight early on and mentioned that. That is, you know, I'm sure there's still people around the entire world who still can't believe that happened. And man, it's such a big thing, big loss to the music industry and stuff like that. You know, loss to the world. It's a beautiful person. I'm gonna let the doc keep playing for a minute. Again, I just wanted to kind of break it up, and tell you about my burger. How good does it look? It's got cheese, it's got lettuce, and not just any cheese. It's got like a premium, more nicer cheese. Forget what kind they said it was, but it's not the regular American cheese that they normally put on it. Lettuce, tomato, caramelized onion, supposed to be tomato, supposed to be bacon. I don't see any tomato. So, could be a tomato shortage. I don't know. But anyways, that's what it's supposed to be. Let's test it out real quick. And we'll keep this playing in the background.
But his spirit and their music live on. We take a look at how a young boy who always knew he was a star became one of the greatest the world has ever seen. Charting the highs and lows of a life less ordinary, we explore the fascinating world of Queen, Mercury Rising.
That is good.
You could do just about anything. You could do the sweetest. You could do deep, powerful. You could rock and roll it. He could ballad it.
Ooh, that's a new one. We haven't
One of
done
the
that
great
one.
secrets of Queen was that they were 4 very diverse personalities.
You've got 4 people who are all very intelligent.
John and Brian ended up with doctorates. Roger had trained as a dentist. Freddie had been to art school. This was not your typical English working class rock and roll band all leaving school at 15. These were very bright people.
It was very exciting and thrilling for Queen that Freddie Mercury and Brian May were so different.
Freddie had an amazing voice.
By the way, the fries are cold, so don't mind my weird way of eating them at the moment. It's just, plus I'm trying to cut back on the fry action. Half the fry, you know. Makes it a little bit healthier. Let's keep going.
An incredible depth, a real richness of voice.
Tonight, I'm gonna have myself a real good time. I feel alive. And the world turning inside out. Yeah. I'm floating around.
Freddie, of course, was the flavour of the time because he was Mr. Androgyny.
Brian is about as straight a guy as you can imagine.
Brian was more cerebral but looked terrific, and he's still got that incredible mop of hair.
He was obviously, and still is, an amazing guitarist. He loves his music. He played since he was very young. He built his own guitar.
Oh,
he knew
wow.
exactly
Oh, yeah, you guys
what
were telling me about that.
was
How he
making
built
the
his
noises
guitar.
and how to get the best out of them.
Roger was, in a way, the most obvious rock star material. I mean, the girls loved him, this cute little blonde fellow.
He had not only great drumming, not only could he write a hit song, but the voice. What?
Roger had an
Yeah, extremely amazing. I need a drink. I was getting choked up there for a second. Extremely amazing just how much talent they all are. They all are very talented, all are very good looking, super attractive. Freaking, it's just like the perfect combination. Like you couldn't ask for more. You would literally had to find someone who was a designer to design anything that perfect, like just so well balanced. Like it's super awesome, man. I've got so much love and respect for them. Let's keep this going. By the way, not too bad. Not too bad. But, you know, everything tastes good when you're hungry, but I gotta say, it's pretty dope. It's pretty dope. Pretty dope. I recommend it.
an extraordinary voice, and I believe a very unusual range, which enabled him to do falsettos and then come back down straight away to singing with the others.
Roger always contributed towards the vocal harmonies. He wrote a couple of their big hits as well.
John very quietly added his little bit. John was always sort of in the background, but he and Roger were quite often referred to as the powerhouse.
John Deacon was much quieter.
It's amazing to think that John was 19 when he joined the group. He was not arrogant, he was just very good.
We, as a record company, had very little creative control or indeed input. It was really unnecessary. I mean, had we presumed to go along and say, oh, not sure about that, chaps, I know exactly what would have been said.
However it was going to be done, it was going to be done their way. Didn't matter that they were hardly known, didn't matter they hadn't made anybody any money.
I just think there's a lot of people like me in those days saw them, heard them, and knew they're going to be great, and they were great musicians, great everything.
Freddie Mercury is regarded as one of England's greatest ever icons, and yet he was born and brought up on another island, far, far away. He was born Farrukh Bulsara on the 5th of September 1946, the firstborn son to parents Bomi and Jer.
I'm sure most people who are Queen fans would just assume he'd been born in England, but in fact he was born in Zanzibar.
Oh, wow.
His parents had come from India.
They were
Zanzibar.
Parsis from the Gujarat region of Bombay in India, and had moved to the East African island of Zanzibar to work for the British Colonial Office.
Wow.
While his early childhood was spent on the exotic spice island of Zanzibar, it wasn't long before young Farooq was sent to India to attend a British-style boarding school for boys.
I've got to stop that for a second. Wow! Really? I had no idea. Whew. That is very interesting. I didn't know. So his parents were Indian. So does that make him Indian? Kind of does, doesn't it, right? Like, if his parents are both Indian? Unless he was adopted, but he doesn't really look Indian to me. I don't know. I guess maybe I need to have another look. Wow. Did I miss something? They did say that, right? Both his parents were Indian. Wow, interesting. That's crazy, and his real name was Farooq. Man, this documentary is very enlightening. Let's continue.
It was here that he learned to play the piano and started to call himself Freddie. By the time he was 12, he'd formed a school band called the Hectics and was covering artists like Cliff Richard. Brian Harold May was born on the 19th of July 1947, the only child to parents Harold and Ruth. He grew up in Felton, Middlesex, where his father was an electronics engineer who took an interest in his son's musical development.
Oh, wow.
He learned ukulele, and then his dad helped him construct this famous guitar.
Ah, that's the red
Brian's
guitar.
early influences came from an unlikely source.
You used to listen to everybody you could get your hands on, you know, pick up all the records and copy them, and kind of competition to see who could play them fastest and earliest. We're listening to the rhythm and blues records, you know, so it was very cool to say, oh yeah, well, of course I don't really like the modern beat music. I like Chuck Berry and I like Bo Diddley and everything, but secretly everyone was going home and studying their Hank Marvin licks, you know.
When Zanzibar gained independence in 1964, Freddie's family left the island and came to England, settling in Felton, Middlesex.
How incredible.
With his neat and tidy schoolboy appearance, 17-year-old Freddie stood out from the burgeoning hippie crowd.
Wow.
But it wasn't long before he enrolled in art college and began to cultivate his own look. Meanwhile, a teenage Brian May was also studying in London.
He was studying science, got steered into astronomy, and became a serious astronomer.
Freddie was developing a reputation for flamboyance at college, and by the time he moved to London in the late 60s, he had set up a second-hand clothes stall in Kensington Market. It was here that he met Brian. Brian was in a band called Smile, with fellow students Roger Taylor and Tim Staffel.
The earlier band, which had not included Freddie or John, was a band called Smile, and if you see pictures of Brian and Roger, it's pretty much still, you know, hippie time.
Freddie was in various bands of his own, but had little success with them. He used to go and watch Smile's gigs, taking particular interest in their lead singer Tim Staffel's performance.
It is very interesting that
that's what you guys were saying.
Freddie pursued the group.
Wow.
He thought he belonged in this group, and he made himself immediately known when Tim Staffel dropped out. That was a big mistake.
Freddie soon made an impact, changing both the band's name and his own surname.
Farooq wanted to be called Freddie. Freddie, being interested in music from an early age, would have known that there had never been a pop star called Farooq. And so suddenly there was, instead of Farooq Bulsara, Freddie Mercury, and of course Mercury is the messenger of the gods. It's a very grand...
Guys, what do you think if he would have kept his name Farooq? Like I think I said Farooq earlier, by the way. Yeah, Farooq. So sorry, I apologize for that. But yeah, for Farooq, if he would have kept his name as Farooq, do you think his name would have impacted how popular he was, or would he have made him more popular because the name is super unique and different, or do you think it would have been like, you know, would it had impacted or not at all? Do you think everyone would still just love them and base them on their talent? Let me know in the comments below what you guys think about that.
And an exalted name. This is an amazing case of personal reinvention, but it worked.
Calling the band Queen was a controversial decision,
I think in some ways the name didn't do them any favours in the early days because it had obvious connotations. People thought they were something they weren't. But there was always this regal kind of feel to them.
Freddie had named the band. Of course, he was at that point in time emphasising the regal factor. So I remember asking him about it. He said, well, because we're very regal, Mick.
With their newfound identity, the band set about making a name for themselves on the university music circuit.
We were told that there was a really good band playing at Imperial College, and I went along with some of my friends from EMI and one or two other people, not really knowing what to expect. And I was absolutely blown away. I don't think I've ever seen a new band play like that. The place was absolutely packed. They really worked the audience. And I mean, we all just stood there with our mouths open and were just stunned.
You can see it's this microscopic stage and Freddie's performing like he's already in a stadium. He's big, he projected big.
And
wow,
of course,
how cool.
Material, the lyrics were wonderful, the melodies were fantastic. I think on the whole they were streets ahead of the other young bands around at the time.
Finding the right bass player was proving difficult, but in February 1971, Queen found the right chemistry with John Deacon and started rehearsing their first album. When a friend of Brian's set up a new studio called Delane Lee, he needed a loud band to test his new equipment. In exchange, Queen were allowed to record their demo tape at night for free.
Oh, wow.
They recorded 4 high-quality songs and started pitching their demo.
That would have been huge, guys, because back then in particular, recording studios, not like now where anyone has gear, can freaking, easily obtainable and be able to record music, like it's so easy for anyone to get what they need to do that these days. If you have a computer, if you have an iPad even, you can make music, man, like, what I'm saying? Like it is possible. But back then, they didn't have the same availability and technology like now, man. So to be able to go in the studio and record your demo at the time would have been this huge thing. They would have been like, yo, man, that is super dope. That is so cool. So, man, that is awesome. Okay. This is interesting. I love this doc. You guys have been telling me for ages I need to check out the documentary. Man, point on, man. Super dope. Let's keep going.
Very active receiving a demo is not one that thrills someone in the record business, which is why a lot of demos do go unheard. The heroes are the people like John Peel who actually listen to everything. So it would take some further time from just the act of making the demo to it having any impact at all.
Queen continued to make music and rehearse at night. One day, John Anthony and Roy Thomas Baker, producers from London's Trident Studios, walked past and heard the band playing. They went back to their bosses, convinced they had found a talent. Queen signed a management contract with Trident, but needed to find a record label.
Basically the way it happened was that their manager came to EMI and offered it to Roy Featherstone, who was my boss. He was the general manager of the pop division. Basically we got a set of copy tapes and we weren't quite sure what to make of it because it fell between a lot of things that were going on at that time, because there was obviously the prog rock thing happening, there was the burgeoning glam rock thing, and they sat somewhere rather oddly in the middle, somewhere I guess in where we wanted to be in that Roxy music niche. But we weren't quite sure to start with.
EMI knew the band were promising, but didn't know how to market them. They needed a promoter. Roy Featherstone knew just the man.
He said, whenever you really feel that strong about the band, then you must promote them until they happen. You personally have to go around radio 1, 2, 3 and 4 and 87 or whatever it was, Capital Capital, you have to promote it. Oh, my pleasure, great.
Eric started to promote Queen, but it was more difficult than he and EMI expected.
The record.
Wow. Imagine Queen in the early days. Imagine you being just there listening to them that very first time. Like, must have been incredible. You must have been like, man, these guys got it. They've got it. We got to get them out there. Like, you would have been just blown away. It would have been such a cool experience. Now, guys, this camera has a limit on the time. It goes for like 30 minutes. As you guys know, you might have heard me say this in a different video. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna quickly turn that off, and then, or I wonder, guys, should I do this in a part 1, part 2, part 3? Maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll do that. Part 1, part 2, part 3. Yeah, let's give that a try. We'll do part 1, part 2, part 3. Or part 1, part 2, or something. We'll figure it out. We'll go by ear. But yeah, guys, this was a pretty good meal. I've never done a mukbang where I was watching a show or doing something along with it. I'm usually just talking while I'm eating, just rambling. And I didn't really want to talk on top of them too much because I know some of you guys wouldn't have liked that. And I didn't want to pause it too much because I know some of you guys don't like that. So I was trying to find a happy place. But yeah, it was, you know, very interesting. Let me know in the comments what you think of the mukbang reaction idea. And let me know if I was to do it again, if I was talking a bit more, if I was pausing it a bit more, would that be okay with you? Or would you be like, hey, you're messing up the documentary, just freaking pipe it down a little bit? Or do you like the concept? Is it a good idea? I don't know. I had to get some food in me, and I had, you know, I obviously have got tons of content every day that we're doing, so I thought, put 1 and 1 together, let's get 2. Anyways, guys, let me know in the comments. I appreciate you guys, I love you, and I recommend you go try this burger.